us and for tonight's event as it's presented by Agri-Best Feeds. My name is Justin Mills, and I'll be your host and moderator for tonight's webinar. If you were joining us as we were kind of getting things started here, we're trying out some new software here this evening for tonight's webinar. So bear with us. It's got some great functions, but it is a little bit different than what we've been using. So we'll have things a little bit different. But we do, and glad to have you here with us here tonight as we get started on the 2013 years. Everybody got that figured out when you're writing out checks to make our dates, signing things to get 2013, and I know it's been a little bit tough for me as well. But we're glad to have you here, nevertheless, as we get started the year 2013 off in the right way. As, of course, our presentation here tonight on cattle performing better using less forage. I'll tell you what, if that's not the key, when we're talking about $200 plus ton hay across the country, this is going to be very applicable as we head into these harsher winter months. I do want to remind you that following tonight's presentation, we will have a question and answer time of the presentation that you can interact with our presenters or any of our staff that's joining us as panelists as well. A little bit different here tonight. You can either type out your questions, you can raise your hand. If you are interested in asking questions, then you'll need to go into the Start tab at the top of your screen and click into that, and then that will allow you to ask a question. You'll have to dial a phone number, and then you can get into that ability for us to dialogue with you over the phone. So we encourage you to do that. Of course, if you don't want to ask any questions, you're more than welcome to stay where you're at and listen here to tonight's presentation through your computer. But we are glad to have you here with us. And again, as I said at the top of the program here, our webinar tonight is on cattle performing better on less forage. Our speaker tonight is Scott Anderson, who is, of course, with Agri-Best Feeds, and will be our main presenter. Of course, we have other panelists joining us as well. But at this point in time, Scott, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks a lot, Justin, and I'm super excited to be here with everyone this evening. We want to welcome people from, looks like we got Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, Montana, all on the line here this evening. And this is a scary new thing for us on some of this new system, because I think we can do a little bit of live streaming. So I want to welcome everybody and say hi. We'll get off of that plenty quick here and go back to the presentation this evening. Debbie, I see you have your hand raised. Not sure exactly how we're going to work on that if you can, down on your lower left-hand corner, there's a public chat or a chat. I believe you should be able to chat with some of the leaders. And if you can type your question in there, we'll try and get that taken care of here. So anyway, this is our maiden voyage on this particular system. So here we go. I just want to, say, welcome you, and we'll get right into it. At Agri-Best Feeds, some of the things that we really focus on as a three-part goal is what's best for that animal, their health and performance. Secondly is forage utilization. What we're looking for is true feed efficiency, how cattle perform better on less feed, and that's what our whole webinar is on this evening. And then bottom line, producer profits. So how does that affect and connect with the bottom line? And I'm going to work on a cost calculator here, and let that come up on everybody's screen. And oops, I'm just trying to check into my other computer here to make sure everybody's on the same page. Okay, so that cost calculator should now be up on your screen, and what this is looking at the cost of SweetPro. A lot of people ask, well, what's the day cost of feeding your supplement? And the day cost for feeding SweetPro, I'm going to take an average number. This is our Zone 2 number, so around the Billings area, is $110 per 250-pound block. And our planned daily consumption is somewhere between that 3/4 of a pound and 1.5 pounds. We're going to say at 1 pound. So the cost of the SweetPro is 44 cents per pound. Now, if a producer, if you got good quality forage, and you want to cut back on that a little bit, you can actually go down to about 3/4 of a pound, and at 3/4 of a pound, it's at about 33 cents per head per day to feed the SweetPro, and figure another about 2 cents for the Redmond. But we'll go back to 1 pound per head of consumption. And one of the neat things about SweetPro is that if you feed SweetPro to mature cattle on a maintenance diet that are average score, they'll actually consume about 25% less hay. And so, okay, we got to stop here just for a second. Justin, are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Got a text that I got lost from Kevin or Daryl. Can you chat with Justin, see how you're doing on there? I'll continue on here, and let me know if I need to stop there. So where I was there is at 1 pound per day, SweetPro is costing 44 cents. We're seeing a reduction of forage consumption, cattle performing better and they'll actually eat about 25% less hay. They just naturally will back off on that. And if they normally eat about 30 pounds per head per day, this means they would consume about 7.5 pounds less. Now down here in this block, I'm going to put in actual cost of ton per hay, and I'm going to put $125 and that brings us up to the hay savings on the forage is going to be 47 cents. So we're spending 44 cents on the SweetPro, but utilizing the SweetPro is actually saving 47 cents per head, giving you a net day cost is you're actually putting 3 cents in your pocket per head per day. Now, as we look at this, and I could probably get a line of people from here to the North Dakota border at selling $125 hay. Most hay around the region is going for upwards around $200 or better, and at $200 a hay. So it's important all the time, this forage utilization. But in a drought year with hay prices that are high like they are now, it's critical. As you can see, at $200 hay, your hay savings would actually be 75 cents per head per day. So subtract out, take the cost of the product, subtract out your hay savings, and you're actually putting over a quarter, about 31 cents in your pocket per head per day by feeding this product. And then there's also the health benefits and other things that go along with that. So I'll jump back into the presentation. And so just looking at some general background for cattle, horses, sheep, livestock of any sort, they have nutritional needs that they need for maintenance, for lactation, for growth, and those nutritional needs are met through their hays or forage and grasses, their protein, energy, minerals, so forth, so on. And we're saying that this grass has a total digestible nutrients of about 50. But at some point, the nutrient value that's there in the grass and hay is lacking, so we need to supplement. We need to fill in the gaps that hay is not, hay or grass is not meeting the requirements of that animal. So with SweetPro, in the block itself, there's energy, there's protein, there's vitamin, mineral, trace minerals in there. And when we feed that, that helps fill in those gaps. But one of the things that's interesting with SweetPro is not only is it a supplement, but it also extends your grass. So it's going to take your grass and improve that total digestible nutrients by about 25%. So the TDN of that grass has now gone from 50 up to 60. So you're getting not only the added nutrients out of SweetPro, but you're also getting more nutrients out of your grass. And then our total program has that foundation of the Redmond natural trace mineral. There's 80 plus naturally occurring trace minerals in the right balance, and that's just a safety net that fills in all the gaps. Now, as we target, one of the things we target is the digestive system. We feel if we can get that digestive system just as efficient and effective as possible, feed those microbes that are in the rumen, get the right environment for them so that they can multiply and really get the most nutrients out of the forage that those animals are eating, then the rest of the systems kind of fall into place. The reproductive system will have what it needs, the immune system. You'll end up with a healthy animal and then healthy profits. What I want to do right now is just build a SweetPro block for you so you have kind of the background of what's in SweetPro. First, we start out with an excellent vitamin mineral trace mineral product mixture. About 50% of the minerals in there are chelated, broken down outside the body, very bioavailable for that animal. Then what begins to separate us from the competition, the other supplements that are out on the marketplace, is that we utilize carrier that is distiller's grains, both dry distiller's grains with solubles and condensed distiller's grains with solubles. And this is excellent because this is a complex carbohydrate as opposed to a starch or sugar, and it lines up better with your forages, your grasses, helps your cows, your horses, sheep, your livestock in general get more value out of the forages that they're eating. Just a note here, most or some of our products are have no NPN. It's all natural protein. We do have some products, our Fibermate 18, Fibermate 20, our harder blocks, actually do have some NPN in it, non-protein nitrogen, but that NPN is ammonium sulfate and biuret. So there's no urea in our products. So even our cattle products are totally safe for horses and actually perform better on the cattle as well. It's a more even protein bringing the protein in more steady over time. The thing that really separates us from everybody on the marketplace is a probiotin. It's the digestive aid that SweetPro puts in. It's fermented wheat, oats, barley, and flax. They run these small grains through the same fermentation process, but instead of distilling the alcohol off like they do on the distiller's grains, they just blend that back in. So that gives you a very wide amino acid profile, excellent energy from that alcohol, but the big key is that the yeast and enzymes are still viable as they come back into that product. So as your cow ingests the probiotin, those yeast and enzymes actually do their job on breaking your forage down further, and then when they're utilized or used up, they're an excellent feed source as well. And so this is our program. We take the SweetPro plus the Redmond Natural Trace Mineral, and the Redmond Natural Trace Mineral. The SweetPro does come in the 250-pound block, as you see on your screen there. We do also have a meal form for total mix rations. And then the Natural Trace Mineral comes in a 44-pound block or 50-pound, or you can get it in bulk as well, but loose mineral salt and 60-plus naturally occurring trace minerals in crystalloid form. So this is our complete nutritional program. We take your forage, what you already have on your place or what you've put up in hay or what you've had to purchase in hay. We add the SweetPro and the Redmond. That's your complete balanced ration. You're getting your probiotin, that digestive aid, you get your energy needs met, your protein needs met, and also your minerals. And it's a complete nutritional program. Plus, you get 25% more digestible nutrients out of your forage from the improved digestion. And what I want to do now is just take and look at some of the reasons why we're getting that improved digestion. This slide, we're taking a look at the rumen in a cow, and over on your left-hand side, the pH on the rumen is very important. So the pH on the side there for the healthy rumen is between 6 and 6.5. That's your optimum rumen pH for your forage digesting microbes. Now, if you fall below a pH of 6, down to 5.5 or so, you lose some digestive efficiency. You run into subacute acidosis, and of course, if you get your pH too low, you run into acidosis, which is a sick animal, and we definitely don't want that. Now, in the past, when we've added grains, energy, we've added it through grains or molasses, simple starches or sugars. But what happens on that is it naturally pulls down on your pH, and you lose some digestive efficiency. And what that is actually the negative effect of starch digesting bacteria on fiber digesting bacteria in the rumen. And that's the negative associative effect. So anything that cow eats is going to have either a positive effect or a negative effect on those fiber digesting bacteria in the rumen. And we want to limit those things that have a negative effect, and we want to increase those things that have a positive effect. Now, if we get too much grain or too much starch too fast, your animals will go off feed. We all are aware of that, and we must be very careful about that. Interesting thing is that down in this 5 to 5.5 pH, that's where your infections and pathogens live, where you lose some milk production, where you have breedback problems. And so what we can do is we can actually competitively eliminate a lot of these things by keeping that pH up in the right environment for the good bacteria, is the wrong environment for that bad bacteria. Now, the opposite of that is true as well. You get down in that 5.5 to 6, and that's the wrong environment for your good microbes, your good bugs, and they're not as efficient in that area. So now when we add SweetPro, it's a complex carbohydrate, and it actually pulls up on your pH. There's the same digestive bugs that break down forage, so there's no competition in the rumen, and it doesn't have the negative effect on the fiber digesting bacteria. It actually has a positive effect on the fiber digesting bacteria. So that's a very incredible thing as we start to look at how we get the most value, true feed efficiency out of the forages that are being fed. Now I just want to show you this slide. I know we're not focused on horses this evening, but this is just showing the slide here on basically your cecum. Over here is the same as we just went through on a rumen on a cow, but a horse's digestion is a lot more complicated. It starts out after the horses ingest their feed, goes down into the stomach where it breaks it down acidically. pH 2, 2.5 is where the first part of that stomach is. Enzymatically on the second half, when you get into the small intestine where most of your feed is absorbed, your pH is up around 4 to 5. And then by the time it gets back to the cecum, that pH needs to be up around 6. And so it's even more critical. The horse's digestive system is a lot more complicated than a cow's, and it's even more important that we limit the amount of starches and sugars that's going into a horse's digestive system. And we can talk more about that as far as the value of SweetPro, the horse products, and the Redmond products on this whole system, as well as far as buffering some of that acid, improving enzymatic activity, and pulling that pH up in that relatively short amount of time. I want to go back to a little bit different view on the rumen and just show how feeding SweetPro actually has that positive associative effect. This is a picture of the rumen. You see those little yellow donuts. Those are forage digesting bacteria. And when we add SweetPro and Redmond Natural Trace Mineral, it actually increases those number of bacteria. The reason is we're feeding those bacteria, and we're also creating the right environment for them to multiply. So when we add SweetPro, the microbes increase, and that's where we get the digestive increase. So forage digestive and feed efficiency is increased by up to 25%. And then, of course, with the Redmond natural trace mineral in there, we're also improving the health of those microbes as well. Want to take a look at that same thing now. When we've got our forage and grasses and we add a molasses or grain, there's different sugar digesting microbes, and it causes competition in the rumen. And so what happens on that is you lose some digestive efficiency, and that's what that negative associative effect is. It's a negative effect of sugar digestion on forage digesting microbes. I just want to give you a little bit of feedback here real quick on how to feed the SweetPro. The SweetPro comes in a number of different hardnesses. Starts off, there's actually a calf starter, but we're kind of focusing on mature cattle this evening, goes to calf candy, and then as you go to your right on this, the blocks get harder and more bitter. And the key on that is what we're wanting to do is, once again, maximize forage. So we're trying to balance out the amount of supplement they need to keep forcing them back to the forage. So as your grass gets or hay is more hard, more bitter, we need to go with a harder block to force them back onto that hay so they eat that 3/4 pound to 1.25 pounds of the SweetPro, and then maximize the hay that they have available. Now, of course, as your total digestible nutrients, as your quality of hay goes down, you may need your supplement to go up a little bit to help fill in some of those gaps. So if you got real poor quality hay, you may be looking more towards that pound to 1.25 pounds consumption of SweetPro as opposed to 3/4 pound to 1 pound. Then when we get into summer grasses and whatnot, we may be down to SweetPro 16 to encourage them to eat enough of the SweetPro to be able to maximize the forage that they have out there as well. One of the other things that's very interesting and exciting about SweetPro is that we can get the right block for the right type of grass out there. So most of our product that we're selling right now is like a Fibermate 20. It's for kind of your hard, bitter grass, kind of a dry hay type situation. And but then we can fine tune it through what's called space feeding. So we can determine how much we want our cattle to eat of the SweetPro and space feed that out. In other words, one block, one Fibermate 20, 250-pound block would last 10 head of cattle, 25 head of cattle, 10 days. And that would be an average of 1 pound per head per day. Now the question is, well, what happens if they run out of their product on day 7? Well, they have all the protein, the energy, the minerals that they need for a 10-day supply, and the way God's created those animals is that they can take on that protein load, they can take the mineral load and utilize that over time. You need to continue to keep the Redmond Natural Trace Mineral free choice out before them all the time. Of course, having your forage there available for them all the time and good clean water. But you can wait and put the SweetPro supplement back out on day 10. And that brings your average down to 1 pound per head per day, which helps economically, being able to budget exactly what we're investing in these cattle and then getting the best bang for our buck. And feel free to call our 800 number or email or talk to your dealer for more information on how to feed the SweetPro products. Just want to touch base real quick on what's different and unique on the Redmond products. Once again, 60 to now 80 plus naturally occurring trace minerals in their crystalloid form. There's 2 products that Redmond has. One is the natural trace mineral salt, which is just that. It's a naturally occurring trace mineral salt. It's unrefined. We don't do anything with it other than crush it and put it in block form or bag form. And the other product that's available is it's a volcanic ash, which the minerals in the volcanic ash are colloidal. They're clay-based, and the minerals in the sea mineral are actually crystalloid, so they penetrate through plant and animal membranes very easily. The key on both of these products is synergy, and the synergy, the definition of that is the interaction of two or more elements. Now we're talking 50 to 80 elements, so that their combined value is greater than the sum of their individual values. And so this natural trace mineral salt is going to enhance any feed program and all livestock. You've got health maximized, the mineral value, performance, and actually we see that the total mineral cost is actually reduced up to 25% or more. And I just want to show you that real quick as we go through and look. Above the red line here is a salt program with free choice, just plain bagged white salt, and it's cheaper. At this example, we have $5, so that's at 1 cent per head per day. The cow's consuming about 2 ounces, and then this is with a free choice mineral program that's just out there. Now, once again, on the SweetPro, the minerals are in the SweetPro, so we don't have to have free choice minerals out there. But in this example, we're showing a free choice mineral, and the cost of that mineral supplementation is 13 cents per day. When we add the Redmond Trace Mineral Salt, you'll notice that the bag of the salt is a lot more expensive. You almost double the cost per day, 2.5 or 2.1 cents per day. But what we're seeing is after the cattle get used to the Redmond Natural Trace Mineral Salt, they'll actually back off on their free choice mineral. We're seeing about 50%. And so our cost has gone from 13 cents per day down to about 8 cents per day, 38% lower, 38% savings. And some very interesting things. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it this evening, but soil application, you can actually utilize these products to enhance soil fertility, and where plants will grow better with less fertilizer, and then also we have a human grade on that as well. But on the soil application thing, oh boy, it doesn't look like my slide. Sorry about the slide here, but next Monday night we're having another webinar on sea minerals for soil health, and Aaron Elison from Redmond is going to be talking about kind of the basics of that, and then coming back in and looking at some trials where we're seeing across the country in different areas. We got one from Idaho, Montana, Nebraska, Oklahoma, where we're seeing improved production on decreased input cost, and pretty exciting webinar, so you'll want to tune in for that one as well. Just as I wrap up here, I want to go back to our three-part goal, our animal benefit, our forage utilization, and producer profits, and really focus in on that producer profits one. What affects your bottom line? And as you look at that, there's a couple of things that affect that, and it all hinges on cost and revenue. There's some times that we end up increasing costs and our revenue decreases, and that definitely hurts our bottom line, and so we want to avoid that as much as possible. There's other things that we can increase our costs. Maybe we can invest a little bit more in this area. That's where like supplementation comes along and those types of things, and that can actually boost revenue. And in those things, we need to carefully consider those, because if the increase in revenue is more than the increase in cost, then those are some things that are definitely good to do. Of course, another area of boosting that bottom line is looking where can I cut some costs? Where can I cut corners? And I know when I do that, I'm probably going to lose some revenue, but if my cost savings offsets those revenue losses, that's an excellent thing to look at and investigate as well. This final one is one where we want to spend a lot of time looking and doing this as often as we can in whatever enterprise we're in. Where can we cut costs? Areas that we can cut costs that actually improves revenue, and that's one of the things that we're seeing with SweetPro and Redmond both. We're seeing our costs going down. We're seeing that our cattle are eating less hay and forage, or the vet bills are being reduced. We've got less labor and equipment and fuel. We're only going out and we don't have to have fancy equipment for this. This is high-tech nutrition and a low-tech dispenser. So we're just taking a pickup out every 10 days and rolling a 250-pound block off the back of the pickup. We're not having to cake every day or every other day. The fuel cost, of course, that's going down now, but still it's a big input cost. And then on the revenue side, we're seeing conception rates going up. We're seeing weaning weights improving, average daily gains going up. Building muscle and frame, that's one of the great things about this complex carbohydrate, is it's building muscle and frame, very high rumen bypass protein, so it's not putting a lot of flesh on that animal, a lot of fat. It's getting that frame ready for when they go into the finisher, or if you finish them, you can finish them on grass as well. But when they just finish out very well, there's an excellent frame for those feedlots to finish out, and then of course your improved health. So that's what I had this evening, Justin. So I'll turn it back over to you, and I will be available for some questions. And I think we've got, I'm not sure, I think we have Brad Thornburg maybe on the line with us. I'm not totally sure, but I'll turn it back to you.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks, Scott. And we do want to remind you that this concludes the formal presentation part of our webinar here tonight, but we're going to open it up for more questions here in just a little bit as we kind of get through some of our kind of announcements to go over things here just a little bit. But as we talk a little bit about here tonight's subject, they're very applicable and heading into a time of the year where things are going to get a little bit more stressful on the cattle, and good forage and better use of this forage is going to be a cost saver for a lot of folks out there. I want to remind you that we do have, as Scott mentioned just a little bit ago, we do have a webinar coming up next week. And if you can look on your screen, I'll just kind of where we're doing that. In the meantime, as I'm doing this, maybe start to prepare your questions. So we'll be coming back to you for questions. But I want to kind of point out an easy way to find out what's going on with Agri-Best feeds and SweetPro products and various things out there. And more information, you can go to agribestfeeds.com, and there you can look at all of the stuff you need to know, whether it's information you want to know on cattle feed or horse feeds or other livestock products. But you can take a look there. Also, if you go under resources, and if I click on resources, you'll see it going into there. And in that resources element, you can click on an upcoming webinars. And when you click on there, you'll see that we do have, our webinar that we've got here tonight. And then, of course, into next week, as Scott had alluded to, we will be having a webinar on sea minerals for soil health. And that'll be coming out at 7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time next week. So mark your calendars for that as well. At this point in time, we do want to give you an opportunity to ask any questions that might be out there, as we're, again, testing out a new system here tonight. So bear with us as we kind of go through this, but this will allow you the opportunity. If you are wanting to ask questions, most people I see is listening through the internet, but if you do want to answer any question, then what you would need to do is to click on the top of your screen. You'll see a tab that says Start. If you click on that tab, that will give you a phone number that you can dial. That phone number is 309-944-9519. You can dial on that along with a passcode, and that'll allow you to come in and ask any questions to any of our presenters here tonight. I just see one phone number that actually has the ability to ask a question, but if not, we do want to give anybody an opportunity. I don't know. I see a phone number out here, and I don't know if that's anybody from
I think that may be, is that Brad's? Brad, are you there?
This is Abe.
Oh,
okay.
Okay. Let's stretch the Minnesota. We got an Iowa boy there. Hey, Abe.
All right. Howdy.
Well, Abe, since you're on, we usually have you as a panelist anyways. Maybe add a few comments to our to the folks here tonight in regards to our presentation.
Sure. Thanks, Scott. Good overview. One of the things that Scott and I have been talking about recently is the concept that he's really brought out tonight of what it means to extend nutrients in that you have available based on the supplement that you choose. And SweetPro brings an interesting dynamic to that because it does have the ability to make the nutrients you have either go farther, or maybe if your nutrients are a bit short, it fills in the gap so that your animals don't see a performance dip due to the lack of nutrients. So that idea of extension of the nutrients or making those nutrients go farther is a pretty interesting one, and one that Scott's certainly been bringing to the forefront.
All right, Abe. Well, thanks for joining us here tonight. Again, Abe will be around for any questions that are out there. If you'd like to ask questions, a simple way for you to type out questions, if you see, you'll have the option to chat in there. And I guess actually that is disabled. We'll maybe see if we can't.
I think it's okay. You've got to hit on the private tab. So if you hit on, if you've got a question,
you
click on the private tab, and then you can ask a question to all leaders or assistants, Scott, Daryl, Justin, or Kevin. Looks like you can direct that on the attendee side.
All right, so there you go. There's an easy way. You can click on the private tab, type it out. It'll flash up on my screen. If there's a question, we'll go ahead and ask it to our presenters or our panelists as well. But don't forget, we do have the webinar coming up next week. If you haven't signed up for that, you can do that here tonight. In fact, by going to that website at agribestfeeds.com and get signed up for that. I want to also remind you, if you kind of want to know what's going on or some updates that are coming up, sign up for their newsletter that comes out as well, and that'll get you kind of up to speed with what's going on their website. Or when you sign up for their webinars, not only can you get signed up for the upcoming, but you can also go in and you can listen to any previous webinars that we've had for the last several years. So with that, if there's any questions, we want to give everybody an opportunity to ask any questions you have. I know it's a little bit different for everyone here tonight, but we sure appreciate everybody being here with us as well. And looks like we might have a couple questions or so. We'll kind of see here, but we don't want to rush things along here too far. But we don't want to necessarily keep you all night long, especially with the big game going on, right, against Alabama and Notre Dame. And it's definitely filling up the news airwaves or Facebook if anybody's watching that as far as how the game's going. But
you got a report on that stuff?
I don't even know what the score is. I'm not even watching it myself. That's terrible to mention it and then not even giving anybody an update. I'm sure some people are. But I want to remind you, too, that you can see Agri-Best feeds out and about here in the next month or so. We're kind of heading into a busy time of the season where there's a lot of agriculture events going on. And I know, Scott, I know you're going to be at the Mate Show in Billings, Montana, February 14th, 15th, 16th. What other shows will we see Agri-Best seeds out around the country?
We'll be at the Maggie. Daryl Heidel will represent us up at the Maggie show, and I believe that's the 18th, 19th maybe of January. 25th we'll be down at the Powell College down there Northwest College has a big spring roundup days. We'll be down at that one as well, and so yeah, we'll be out and about.
Okay. So there you can kind of see them as they're around. If you have questions, be sure to visit with them a little bit. It's nice to be able to just sit and visit with them sometime about some of this product. We can talk about it here tonight in a webinar, but sometimes it's condensed, or you don't have the ability to maybe ask questions at the spur of the moment like you would in conversation. So I do encourage you to stop by and see them as they're out and about at the Maggie up in Great Falls, Montana, the Mate Show in Billings, Montana, and down at the spring event in Powell, Wyoming for Northwest College. But it looks like everybody's, hopefully you've had the opportunity here to ask any questions that you might. If not, we're going to kind of keep things moving here, and maybe Scott, some final comments for all of our folks here tonight.
I see that Brad Former from SweetPro came on. I'm going to unmute your microphone there, Brad, I think. Are you able to...
I can hear everything now. Sorry, but that was a problem getting on. So apologize for that. But yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I suppose you just got on, so we're not sure what all we said and everything here, huh? Give us a little update on the SweetPro side of things.
Well, just moving forward, and company-wise, growing-wise, we've grown 40% on top of 40% in the last 2 years, and a lot of it has to do with guys, you guys at Agri-Best and all around the country. The distributors really getting the word out, and the drought conditions have been so terrible in the last summer that people were scrambling, looking for a way to save money, and they have found this product, and it has really started flying. So it's been a lot of fun. That's been and just trying to keep on top of the growth is what we're up to right now. And very good.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Brad.
Yep.
I appreciate everybody helping us through on this, giving us a little bit of grace as we work through the new system here. I'm very excited about it and how we can better communicate and educate on the great product lines we have, and then just in general. Once again, what's on your screen there is where you can register. If you scroll down just a little bit to the Sea Minerals with Soil Health, you can register for that next Monday night. That's going to be at 7 p.m. And please contact your dealer who's invited you onto this webinar for any further follow-up questions, or you can call the number up in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, that 866-601-6646, goes directly into our offices here in Billings, Montana. And then, like I say, we can service all over Montana, Wyoming, and Nebraska, and we can get you connected beyond that if necessary. So thanks, Justin.
All right. Well, thanks, Scott. And as he said, if you do have any questions about your product, the products that we talked here tonight, do visit with your local dealer or give them a call at their world headquarters in Billings, Agri-Best Feeds at 866-601-6646. We want to thank you for joining us here tonight for our webinar. As we said, and we've been talking about, don't forget to sign up for next week's webinar on Sea Minerals for Soil Health. I'll tell you, there's some interesting elements to this, and I really encourage you especially to look at some natural elements that can be used for soil health. And so I encourage you to join us for next week's webinar, 7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. And on behalf of Agri-Best Feeds, your sponsor for tonight's webinar, we thank you for joining us. My name is Justin Mills, and we'll see you next week.